Alright, so today we're going to be vinyl wrapping this lip spoiler on the back of a Mercedes SL. I've just installed this spoiler, stuck on with 3M tape, and I want to wrap it in carbon fibre. So I'm showing you the squeegee that I'm going to be using with the felt end to it. Cost you a couple of pound off of Amazon. I bought black 7D carbon fibre gloss wrap, which came with another little squeegee, which is a smaller hard plastic one. I've got some magnets here to hold the film on before I take the backing paper off, but I didn't end up using them, and obviously scissors just to cut the length of film that I need. So this spoiler has been stuck on with 3M tape. It's gloss black, but I really want that carbon fibre look. Now I did try wrapping this already. If anybody follows me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I've got the carbon fibre spoiler off the car and I wrapped it. It was an absolute dog's dinner. It was terrible looking. It looked fine the night that I did it, and then when I came out the next day, every edge wanted to roll back in itself and peel off, and it was just so difficult to get the film to wrap round the contours of the spoiler without having the spoiler anchored in some way. So I wanted to stretch the film over the spoiler so that it wasn't stretching around the edges and the spoiler was anchored to the car. And you know, I tried to do it first, then I watched the YouTube videos on how to wrap stuff and realised it's easier to do it with a spoiler on the car itself. So, wiping it down with alcohol wipes here, isopropyl alcohol wipes, just to make sure that there is nothing that's rested on the spoiler, little bits of dust and whatnot. And we're going to end up cutting that bit of film and just anchoring it down at each side and stretching it across, and then you'll see me squeegeeing it all in to the edges and making sure there's no air bubbles. So I'm not an expert at this. I've never wrapped anything like this before. I've only wrapped a couple of fuse box panels and stuff like that, flat things, square things that are really easy. Nothing as difficult as this spoiler with its wee contours and the curvature on it. So let's get going. I'll just be quiet now and let you watch this, and I'll chip in case I make any mistakes. But it worked out good at the end. The final result was good, and I was really pleased with it, the way it turned out. So I'm also going to be installing the SL350 badge in black as well at the end, so stick around to the end of the video if you want to see how I do that. Laid the film down, and I'm using a little hairdryer here. I don't have a heat gun. A lot of the professionals will use a heat gun, but this seemed to work for me, little hairdryer, and it was quite a warm day. And I'm just heating up the film evenly as I can until it becomes really loose and malleable, and it will wrap the contours of the spoiler a lot better when it's heated up. So doing it one half at a time, and I'm going to stretch it up and down the way so that it stretches over the length of the spoiler, and I'm not stretching it so that the wrinkles go vertically. I want them to go horizontally, so like that. See how the wrinkles are horizontal? I want to do that because you can squeegee them out easier. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling it down around the top lip of the spoiler. So I'm aiming for that top lip first. So that top part there, the edge, I want that to be perfect. So I've stretched it around that edge, and we'll squeegee out the top bit and the bottom bit as we're going. And over the corner there, the spoiler kind of comes to a point at the end. I'm just pressing it down so that the film's not stretched too much over the corner, but it wraps to the contour of the corner. If you stretch it over the edges like I tried to do before, you'll come back the next day or a couple hours time, and the film will want to lift and it will want to try and come back on itself. So do that same process for the other side, heat it up and then stretch it, pulling up and down with my hand, and stretch it across. sucks itself into the shape of the spoiler as opposed to coming out the way. So when I stretch it like this, use a hairdryer, it starts to want to contour to the shape that the spoiler is and go in the way, which is what you want. That way the film won't lift when you come to look at it the next day and think, oh no, I just wasted an hour of my life trying to do this and it's ruined it. So this part now is just squeegeeing all the air out and making sure it's flat to the top surface of the spoiler, and then doing the same for the bottom surface of the spoiler. And I've left all the excess on just now so that I can stretch it more if I need to, but I'm trying to avoid stretching it too much because then it will just wrinkle up vertically and it will want to peel. Now it is time to cut off some excess because we've got it wrapped to the shape of the spoiler, so I'm just going to trim off a lot of the excess film because it will start to cause resistance when you're trying to shape the rest of the spoiler, and I've noticed that it started to pull on the rest of the film, pulling it away. So I'm cutting around the brake light here, and then we'll do our final cuts once I'm happy that it's stuck on and there's no wrinkles at all. So I'm using the felt edge here of the little squeegee just to make sure I don't damage any of the film, and then I'll use the harder edge just to push it underneath the lip of the bottom part of the spoiler and around the edges. The spoiler's not completely flush to the car. There is a tiny gap, not that you can see it, but you can squeeze the hard edge of the squeegee right into the edge. I'm using that smaller squeegee that came with the film here to do that, just pushing it in so that it wraps right around the edges, and that will allow me to get the blade in there and cut without touching the car itself. I don't want to cut the car, cause more scratches, so I'm just making sure that the film is tucked around in all the edges. Right, here we go, the scary bit. Cutting off the film right next to the bodywork of the car. So I've got a really fine little knife, little craft knife here, one of the ones that you can break off the blades and go to a new one. Although it looks I'm going fast here, I did really take my time with this to make sure that the blade was never touching the surface of the car and just getting in between the gap of the spoiler and the car bodywork, and I've just used the finest tip of the blade to do that. And I'm always trying to angle it away from the car bodywork so that I'm not scraping it. Good thing is I didn't scrape the car at all when I did this. It actually worked out quite well. I really did take my time though. I can't show you it in real time, you'd be sitting here for about half an hour, so I really did go slow with this part to make sure. But it worked out quite well. So just going around the edges with the hard edge of the squeegee, making sure they're all tucked in there and they're stuck on. Give it a final heat, a final wipe down, and look at that. I'm really pleased with that. It came out really well. No air bubbles, no serrated or uncut edges that looked tatty. It looked really well, and all the edges tucked away really nice and neatly. I'm particularly happy about around about the third brake light there. Not an easy job, not an easy thing if you haven't done it before, but I'm really happy with the turnout of that. So let's go on and fit the SL350 badge now, which is the next thing. So I got measurements off the web of how far in and how far up the badge should go. So it's 1¼ inches from the left lip in the way, so that's the vertical stripe that I've put there, and the horizontal stripe is 3/4 inch up from the line. So the bodywork line where the kind of top bit of the boot meets the bottom bit, that's 3/4 of an inch up and 1 1/4 inches in from the line on the left. So measure that out with tape and you should get a good horizontal line to follow when you're installing this badge. So I just got my badge off eBay, a few bucks, but I got it in black so that it'll kind of complement the carbon fibre spoiler. I couldn't find it in carbon fibre and there's no way I'm wrapping each individual little letter. So black it is, that will have to do. So the badge I bought comes on a clear bit of film and it's all spaced out for you. So you can peel off the backing bit and the top bit of film keeps the letters in place. Doesn't always work though, some of them did move a little bit, so I had to make sure, take this film off very, very carefully so that all the letters stayed in line, and then you just have to reposition them, microscopic movements, before you put it onto the car itself. So I'm really taking my time here. Okay, once you've painstakingly got the backing off, you'll see what you're left with, clear film. So I'm just lining this up with the tape that I've already put on, and then just push them in and they just stick on, easy peasy. 5-10 minute job. Bye bye.